Give me some of your time and I'll erase your weakness. It's not because I'll give you motivation. It's not because I'll fill your ears with empty inspiration. But because you'll see what you've been calling weakness for what it really is, an illusion. A narrative, a system of lies you've told yourself so many times, you've begun to mistake them for your identity. But what if those stories you've carried aren't who you are? What if they were just layers placed upon you, slowly, silently? And if you're willing to listen closely, if you're willing to sit through the discomfort and let Nietzsche speak not to your mask, but to the parts of you that you've buried deep, then something in you will shatter. That shattering won't be the end. It will be the beginning. It's what replaces it. Won't be a better version of yourself. I know. It will be the version that was always there waiting. Strong, undiluted, buried beneath the noise and the weakness you clung to for safety. Waiting for the moment you stopped protecting it. Let's be clear. Nietzsche didn't write for the fragile, for the ones who crave safety. He didn't offer comfort to the weak. He wasn't interested in pacifying the endlessly anxious. He wrote for the ones willing to stare into the chaos of life with eyes unblinking, for the ones tired of deceiving themselves, for those who finally realized that no savior is coming and who chose instead to stop waiting. And if you've come to that place, if you're fed up with the fear, the hesitation, the watered-down apologies, and the overinflated emotions that have softened you into near invisibility, then this isn't just a transformation. It is your beginning, or better yet, your return, because strength was never outside of you. It didn't need to be borrowed or built. It was there all along, buried beneath layers of doubt, social programming, and the addictive comforts you mistook for peace. So let's begin. It's not with an answer, but with a question. What does it really mean to be weak? Most people think weakness is crying too often, being physically small, or lacking structure and discipline. But Nietzsche would offer a different lens. Weakness isn't emotional expression, no. Weakness is emotional submission. It's when you need permission just to be yourself. It's outsourcing your self-worth to people who haven't even figured out who they are. It's choosing peace not because it's noble, but because it's easier than facing the truth. Weakness is pretending you don't want more just to avoid judgment. It's calling your laziness self-care, your fear, humility, and your insecurity, empathy. Weakness is not the lack of strength, it's the presence of self-betrayal. And here's the hard truth, the one most won't say aloud. The modern world is designed to make you weak. Your education taught you obedience, not wisdom. Your culture taught you to blend in, not to stand tall. Your media spoon feeds you helplessness disguised as awareness. Even those who claim to love you, many of them benefit from your silence, your softness, your hesitation. So they encourage it. They reward your passivity. They applaud your restraint. But not because it's good for you, because it keeps you small, safe, and easily forgotten. Nietzsche saw this. He saw the slow, silent domestication of the human spirit. He saw how society molds you into a palatable version of yourself. And he said it plainly. The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. And that struggle was never about muscles or money. It was about keeping your truth alive, even when the world begged you to forget it. He meant struggles psychologically. The internal war to stay loyal to your instincts when the world is shouting at you to neuter them. The constant tension of trying to remain dangerous, not violent, not chaotic, but dangerous in a world that demands you be polished, polite, and endlessly obedient. This isn't about brute strength or rebellion for the sake of rebellion. It's about maintaining the fire within, the raw edge of individuality that refuses to be dulled by conformity. And so, the very first step in erasing your weakness is recognizing a truth many never dare to face. Subtly, to mistake weakness for goodness. You've been conditioned to believe that saying no is impolite, that setting boundaries is selfish, that choosing your own path is somehow narcissistic. But that's not morality. That's programming. Nietzsche flips that completely on its head. He tells us that real strength, the kind that makes people listen. Remember, respect comes not from being liked, but from rejecting the herd. Comes from turning your back on mass thinking, from walking away from safety, and from abandoning the need for validation. So, let me ask you something directly. Who are you without the need to be liked? not in theory and reality. If you stripped away the filters, if you stopped curating yourself like a product, who would remain? If you no longer had to be agreeable, humble, passive, or accommodating, what would you truly say? What would you demand? And what would you walk away from forever? Most people can't answer that, not because they're incapable, but because their identity has been built entirely on reactions. They don't have a self. They have a persona mask, crafted to please, to survive, to belong. And Nietzsche despised that. He saw it for what it was. The slow death of the human spirit. Because the very moment you stop being dangerous, the second you begin editing your truth to fit the system, you've already handed over your power. But you know that already, don't you? You felt it. That low, constant hum of resentment. That quiet frustration that never quite leaves. The deep fatigue that sleep doesn't fix. That isn't burnout, it's the toll of weakness. It's the invisible cost of constantly suppressing your instincts just to keep the outer world smooth, comfortable, undisturbed. So here's what Nietzsche would say to you now. You were not born to be soft. You were not meant to be endlessly tolerant. To bow every time someone disapproves. You weren't designed to shrink at the first sign of disapproval or fold every time someone raises an eyebrow. You were born to embody something sharper, something elemental, not wild and chaotic, but unshakable, not careless, but untouchable. And the reason you feel weak, the reason you feel like something's missing, is because you've denied that part of yourself for too long. You've buried it so deeply, you've started to believe it never existed, but it did. It still does. And we're going to dig it out starting now. Let's talk about your habits, because weakness doesn't always arrive with fanfare. It hides, it camouflages itself in your routines, in the subtle, daily rituals that slowly corrode your willpower while convincing you you're doing fine. Nietzsche said, "He who cannot obey himself will be commanded." Think about it. You wake up, and the first thing you do is check your phone. In that moment, before you've even stood up, you've already surrendered, not because your phone is evil, but because you didn't claim the day. The day claimed you. You scroll, you compare, you envy. You absorb other people's energy before generating your own, and then you justify it. You say it's harmless. You say it's routine. But every time you react before you create, you weaken the muscle of sovereignty. You become emotionally soft. You lose your edge. You lose your command over yourself. So let's change that. Start owning your mornings before you check a screen. Check your posture. Check your breath. Realign your presence. Remind yourself deeply, deliberately, that you are not a consumer first. You are not merely here to scroll, to absorb, to obey. You are a creator, a builder, strategist. You are someone whose thoughts matter, whose time holds value, and whose energy is not for sale to algorithms the moment your eyes open. You were not born to be a passive vessel for information. You were born to shape it, direct it, and command it. Now, let's move to your words, your speech. Weakness reveals itself there, often before anywhere else. It shows up in the way you dilute your truth to make others more comfortable. It's in how you soften your voice so others don't feel threatened. It's in the way you say, "I don't know," even when deep down you do. It's in how you apologize for things that require no apology at all. Every hesitation, every unnecessary disclaimer, these are small leaks in your power. And make no mistake, they can feel it. That's why they don't take your words seriously. That's why they interrupt you, speak over you, dismiss you without realizing they've done it. Nietzsche didn't whisper. He wrote with fire, unapologetically, relentlessly, and he expected you to carry that same intensity. Not volume, but clarity. Because clarity is its own force. Clarity stops people in their tracks. It creates friction. It makes them lean in and take notice. If your presence doesn't do that yet, if your words don't hold weight in a room, then that's the work. Not because you're broken, but because you've been hiding behind politeness. So stop hiding, own your opinions. Deliver them clean without apology, without justification. And then be silent. Let the silence after your words linger. Let it speak for you. Let it signal certainty. Most people are terrified of silence. You won't be. Because silence creates tension, and tension, when held with calm, is how respect is earned. Now let's talk about emotion. You've been told that strength is feeling nothing. But to be powerful, you must be cold, detached, indifferent. That's a myth. That's not strength. It's dysfunction. Nietzsche didn't promote emotional numbness. He taught emotional command. Real strength is not suppression. It means you can feel everything: rage, grief, joy, desire, and still choose your action. You don't react, you respond. When someone disrespects you, you don't explode, you don't beg, you don't try to prove your worth, you don't chase. You simply look, you wait. And when you move, your action is clean, measured, and exact like a scalpel, not a hammer. That's strength, not performance, not theatrics, precision. Weakness is emotion without awareness. Strength is emotion with direction. So stop saying, "I'm just an emotional person." It's not an identity, that's an excuse.
What?
You are as undisciplined, and discipline isn't cold or robotic. It's clarity in motion. It's the difference between breaking down in a puddle of helplessness and crying with presence, with purpose. One makes you a victim, the other makes you fully, powerfully human. And speaking of victims, Nietzsche hated them. It's not the people who've suffered, but the mindset of victimhood itself. He saw it as a new form of slavery, not physical bondage, but psychological chains, the compulsion to blame, to wait for rescue, to use past trauma as a justification for present stagnation. He never denied pain. He denied passivity. So here's what you do now. You stop narrating your life like a tragedy. You stop reciting your past like it's the final word on who you are. You stop using your wounds as currency for sympathy. And instead, you start transmuting every scar, every failure, every heartbreak into steel. Because here's the unfiltered truth. No one truly cares what happened to you, not in the way you hope. What they care about, what they remember, is who you become despite what happened. And if you can become something impenetrable, something sharp, something refined and unshakable, then your past becomes your forge. And your scars, they become your armor. Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But here's the truth most never realize. Your why is not something that suddenly appears or is given to you. It's not stumbled upon in a moment of inspiration or found in some distant future. It is chosen deliberately, powerfully. You don't wait for it, you decide it. You carve it word by word, decision by decision, into the fabric of your daily life. And the moment you do, something subtle yet powerful begins to happen. Weakness starts to dissolve. Because once your direction becomes clear, distractions lose their power. Temptations fade into background noise. Doubts become whispers. You no longer answer. And weakness, it begins to loosen its grip, like a fog lifting at dawn. With a clear why, you're no longer tossed around by the chaos of the world. You move with intent, with force. So ask yourself, and answer without flinching, who do you serve? What do you build with your time, your effort, your will? You fiercely protect, no matter the cost. And just as important, what have you tolerated for far too long and refused to tolerate for even one more day? Make these answers real. Write them down. Etch them into the wall of your mind and make them non-negotiable. Because if you don't choose your why, the world will choose one for you. And that version, what the world assigns, is designed to keep you soft, quiet, small. It will keep you obedient, underpaid, and easily replaced. But that isn't your destiny. It's not anymore. Because by the time this process is complete, you will not be the same. The shift will be undeniable.
Ow.
And now we go even deeper. This is no longer about habits or behavior. We will confront the subconscious. We will challenge the hidden patterns, the internal scripts, the daily compromises that enslave you. We will begin the final process, the one that matters most, of reintroducing you to yourself, to the version of you that never needed to be repaired. It's only released. And the fact that you've made it this far means something important. You are not like the others, because most people, when their weakness is they flinch, they shrink, they click away in search of distraction. Another dopamine hit, something easier. They pretend they already knew this. They defend their limitations. But you're still here. You stayed, and that means something. Ancient is waking up inside you. Something raw, something real. Something that was never broken, only buried. Nietzsche didn't just speak of power, he stripped it bare. He wrote not only of how to find it, but why most fear it. He knew that weakness isn't only physical or mental, it's deeper than that. It's existential. It's built into the very narratives you've been taught to accept, the identities you've inherited, and the silent agreements you made with fear before you even knew what fear truly was. And at the core of many of these agreements lies one of the deepest roots of weakness, the fear of being alone. Let's speak plainly. You've spent much of your life trying to belong. School conditioned you to raise your hand, to ask permission. Friends taught you that staying inside the tribe meant survival. Your family taught you to suppress what was inconvenient or difficult. And relationships, they trained you to be soft-edged, agreeable, easy to digest. Slowly, quietly, you developed a dependency not on love, but on acceptance. That dead kind of passive inclusion that rewards you only when you shrink, when you stay quiet, when you shapeshift into something less threatening, just to be tolerated. But Nietzsche would look you in the eye with fire and say this: you must be willing to stand alone, completely unshaken, if you are ever to truly know yourself, because the truth is simple. Belonging has a price. And most people are paying with their strength, their voice, their individuality. They trade authenticity for approval. But not you. Not anymore. Not anymore. You're going to unlearn the addiction to belonging, the silent, habitual urge to shrink, to fit in, to blend into the expectations of others. You're going to become someone who doesn't beg for a seat at the table. You're done waiting for validation, permission, or approval. You're going to build your own table. One made of truth, intent, and clarity. And if no one chooses to sit with you, good, that means more space, more stillness. More room to breathe, to grow, and to hear your own voice without the noise of conformity. That is your first upgrade. Choosing solitude over submission, strength over acceptance. But let's go deeper. Let's talk about the parts of you that hold you back, why you procrastinate, why you sabotage your momentum, why you delay the very actions you know will make you better. Most people call it laziness, but it's not. It's a hidden loyalty, silent psychological contract you made. Long ago, a pact to stay small so others wouldn't feel threatened. You didn't choose it consciously, but it's there. Somewhere in your past, you learned that standing out came at a cost, that shining too brightly made people distance themselves. You learned that truth often triggered punishment, and that ambition often led to isolation. And so, like any intelligent survivor, you adapted. You taught yourself how to dim your light, how to hesitate, how to second-guess your fire. Not because you lacked willpower, because you feared abandonment. You weren't lazy. You were surviving, but that season is over. It's time to break the contract. It's time to stop living for the comfort of others. Because you were not born to be tolerated. You are here to be felt. And that kind of presence demands intensity. It demands clarity. It demands the kind of conviction that makes average people feel exposed. Enzi said, "The snake which cannot cast its skin must die." That's what true weakness looks like, not failure, but the refusal to evolve. The resistance to transformation. The fear of who you might lose or who might leave if you grow. But now, you're going to shed the skin, not carefully, not gradually, but fully, forcefully. You're going to rip it off. The people pleaser, gone. The second guesser, erased. The overthinker, done. The emotional translator, always softening the truth so it doesn't sting. Finished. Now let's get tactical. With your language, every time you say, "I don't know," when deep down you erode your self-trust. Every time you say maybe when you mean no, you fracture your boundaries. Every time you apologize for your own existence, for interrupting, for needing, for simply taking up space you chip away at your own spine. These words matter. They're not harmless. They're habits of self-erasure. Speak with precision. Speak with intention. Say what you mean. No softening, no over-explaining, no unnecessary filters. You will say you're rude, too sharp, too direct. Let them. It's just the backlash of those who got comfortable with your smallness. And you're done making yourself digestible. Next, your body. Weakness hides in your posture, in the way your shoulders slope, in the way your eyes drop, in the way your breath stays shallow. Most people move like prey, as if they're waiting for permission to exist, but the body tells a story, and it's time to rewrite yours. Stand like someone who knows they're being watched. Walk like someone who expects to be followed. Sit like someone who isn't asking to belong. You don't need to raise your voice, you command through stillness. Every room you enter, you dominate not with noise, but with presence. It comes from certainty, and certainty comes from alignment. So ask yourself, what do I believe in so deeply that I would walk away from anything that doesn't honor it? Define it, write it down, let it become your compass. Let it guide your tone, your decisions, your movement. Let it bleed into everything you do. Now it's time to kill something else. Victimhood NZ despised the modern habit of glorifying suffering. He saw it not as compassion, but as a trap. When you make your pain your personality, when you wear your wounds like identity badges, you become addicted to weakness. You begin to mistake your struggle for your truth. You grow loyal to your suffering, loyal to the shadows. Cling to the story, not because it empowers you, but because it's familiar, because it gives you something to say when you feel powerless. But here's the truth. No one cares what you survived, not truly. What people care about is what you became because of it. Did your pain build you or bury you? Did it make you sharper or smaller? And if all you became was bitter, anxious, fragile, then let's be honest, you let your story win. You surrendered your narrative. You let the past define your limits. So it's time to rewrite it. Don't say I'm a trauma survivor. Say I'm a builder of fire. Say you took that wreckage and made a kingdom out of it. Don't say I was abused. Say I became untouchable. Say your boundaries became sacred because of what you learned. Don't say I have anxiety. Say I own stillness. Say you trained yourself to breathe deeper than the chaos. Words are spells. Every syllable you speak is a signal to the world and to yourself of who you are becoming. So speak power or stay silent. Let your language elevate you, not trap you. Now let's close, because the truth is, you already knew everything I just said. Somewhere deep inside you, the real you, the grounded, clear, calm, dominant version, was listening to every word and nodding. You were remembering what strength feels like. You were remembering clarity. You were remembering what it feels like to move without apology, to protect your energy like a king guarding his land, to walk away from conversations that shrink you and never look back. You remembered what it feels like to say no with your chest, to say yes only to the things that sharpen you, to sit in silence and feel no need to fill it with noise, excuses, or fake connection. That's not motivation. That's home. That's the place you forgot, but never truly lost. You're back. But here's the catch, because there's always a catch. You can't unknow this now. You can't unhear the truth or unfeel the fire that just woke up inside you. You can't return to being the version of yourself who made excuses, who delayed, who broke promises to himself and called it just a phase. Because now you know better. When you know better, you either evolve or you lie. So choose. Become the man Nietzsche would respect. Not the loudest, not the richest, not the most praised, but the most real. The one who looks in the mirror and sees no hesitation, no disguise, just presence, just truth, just certainty. This is your standard now. Guard it like your life depends on it, because it does.